Good morning, guys. Can you hear me? All of you, unmute your mic and speak out. Am I audible?
Yes, we hear. Yes, we hear.
Yes, Ashok.
Very good.
We hear you.
Yeah. Guys, in the last session, we completed our discussion related to Jenkins, Docker, and Kubernetes integration. So as part of that job, we created multiple stages and we are able to deploy our application into Kubernetes cluster by using Jenkins. So this is the job that we created in the last class. Jenkins pipeline. Pipeline, nothing but set of steps to automate build and deployment process of our application. In this Jenkins pipeline, we have taken 5 stages. This is multi-stage pipeline. In the stage 1, we are taking the code from the GitHub. In the stage 2, we are doing Maven build. In the stage 3, we are creating Docker image for our application. In the stage 4, we are deploying that Docker image into Docker Hub. In the stage 5, we are deploying our application into Kubernetes cluster. So if you observe, in order to create Docker image, we need a Docker file. That Docker file is part of our repository itself. And in order to push into Docker Hub, we need to log in into Docker Hub, that command we are giving in the pipeline itself. And in order to deploy our application in the cluster, we need to have deployment manifest file. In that file, deployment specification is available and the service specification is also available. Now, here inside the Jenkins machine, we installed Docker and we installed Kubernetes kubectl. Kubernetes cluster kubeconfig file I have updated in the Jenkins machine. So Jenkins is able to communicate with the Docker to build the Docker image. And Jenkins communicated with the Docker Hub, pushed the Docker image into Docker Hub, and Jenkins deployed our application into Kubernetes cluster by using kubectl. So Jenkins is running in one machine. Kubernetes cluster is EKS. How this Jenkins machine communicating with Kubernetes cluster? So that's where Kubernetes cluster kubeconfig file we have updated in our Jenkins machine. As we have updated kubeconfig file in the Jenkins machine, Jenkins is able to communicate with the cluster and we are able to deploy and we access our application as well from the browser. All of you able to set up this Jenkins pipeline, guys, that we did in the last class? Whatever we did in the last class, are you able to set up that pipeline?
Yeah, sir, I'm getting errors, sir.
Okay. We'll check that errors. Tomorrow we'll take the doubts clarification session and we'll work on that part. All right. Guys, now if you observe here, I have taken single pipeline to perform complete build and deployment process. So CI/CD I have done in the single job. In the real time, some projects will have single job to perform CI/CD, and in some projects they will be having multiple jobs. CI and CD jobs will be available. So what is the meaning of CI and CD jobs? First of all, CI nothing but continuous integration, CD nothing but continuous deployment or continuous delivery. So CI means continuous integration. Then CD means continuous delivery. So now in the real-time projects, we are going to have CI and CD. So here I'm going to create 2 jobs, guys. One is called CI job and another one is called CD job. So what I will do is, first I'm going to create one job. In that job, git clone stage will be available. Then Maven build stage will be available. Git create and then Maven build stage will be available. Then Docker image creation, push Docker image to Docker Hub, push image. So like this, I'm going to take 4 stages in one job. I'm going to take 4 stages in one job. So now git to clone is one stage. Then after go for Maven build. Then after go for image creation. Then after push that Docker image. After pushing the Docker image, this job execution got completed. So this is CI job. I don't want to write complete CI CD in the single job. I want to separate CI process and CD process. In some projects, it will be available like this. CI means continuous integration. This job is responsible to take the code from the GitHub and do the Maven build and create the Docker image, then push the Docker image into Docker Hub. Once after pushing the Docker image to the Docker Hub, then this image pushing is completed. Then this job is responsible to trigger CD job. Once image pushing is completed, then trigger CD job. In the interview, they will ask this question also: how to trigger one job from another job. Now trigger CD. We are going to execute the CI job. Once the CI job executed successfully, then we are going to trigger CD job. So what will be available in the CD job? CD job requires manifest YML. Image is already available in the GitHub. We can clone the image. We can take the image from we can pull the image from the Docker Hub and we can deploy. Here in the CD job, git to clone will happen. Git to clone is happening in the CD job for the Kubernetes manifest file. Once that manifest file is available, then we are going for deployment. So like this, CI and CD, yesterday we have done in the single job, but today we are going to implement that in two different jobs. Once the CI job is executed successfully, image will be available in the Docker registry. Then it is going to trigger CD job. CD job will take the code from the GitHub. Then it is going to deploy that code into Kubernetes cluster. So two jobs to deploy our application. One job is involved in the build process. Another job is involved in deployment process. So let us verify this. Are we able to achieve that or not? First, let me connect with my Jenkins machine. Let me deploy yesterday's deployments, whatever we have done. Jenkins machine. Connected to my Jenkins machine using Mobile Extra. Yesterday we created a deployment. I want to delete that deployment. SSH remote host. Specify the username, that is Ubuntu. Then settings, use the private key. So let me go for PEM file. Click on OK. I connected to my Jenkins machine. In this Jenkins machine, kubectl is available. kubectl get nodes. You can see the cluster nodes are up and running. kubectl delete all -all. I want to delete whatever is available in my cluster, whatever I have created in my cluster. kubectl delete all -all. All right. I'm trying to delete pods, the services, the deployments that we have created. So it is taking some time. So meanwhile, let us create our job and keep it ready. So first let me create one job. This is CI job. So now I'm going for Java web app CI job. Click on pipeline, click on OK. So this job is used for CI, continuous integration pipeline. So I want to write the pipeline, hello world pipeline stage. So stage means multi-stage pipeline. What is the first stage? The first stage I want to write as git clone. So yesterday we have written that stages already, right? Git clone stage will be available. Maven build stage will be available. So same thing I have to write it now. So in the first stage, that is git clone, right? So I want to configure my GitHub repository with credentials. I don't want to hard code the credentials. As I don't want to hard code the credentials, I can go for pipeline syntax. I can go for pipeline syntax. In the pipeline syntax, I'm going to specify Git here, repository URL. So repository URL we are having here. I will give this repository URL. Then I will generate the script. Credentials, Git credentials already configured in the Jenkins. Generate pipeline syntax. So with this, I got Git credentials script. I will keep that in the step. So this is stage 1. Then let's go for next stage. The next stage is Maven build. So in order to perform the Maven build, we are going to execute sh mvn clean package. So I want to package my project by using Maven. So it is a Java application. For that, I'm going for Maven. Suppose if it is a Angular application, if it is a Node.js application, if it is a React application, Maven will not be available. They will use npm as a build tool. Okay, guys. So we'll work on Angular project also. Right. Currently, I'm working on Java application deployment process. Git to clone. So we are taking GitHub repository. That is where our project source code is available. After taking that source code, I want to build that project. For that, I'm going for Maven build. Once the Maven build is completed, then I want to perform Docker image creation. So to create the Docker image, I need to write one more stage. That is create image. Because we are deploying by using Kubernetes, for Kubernetes, Docker image is required. So steps. In order to create a Docker image, what we need? We need to execute Docker build command. Okay. So now sh docker build -t image name will be available. In the image name, directly I am giving my Docker Hub account username, tag name I am giving. So docker build -t, the tag name I am giving here, space dot. So in this repository, Docker file is already available. So when we execute this command, it will create Docker image for that. Once the Docker image got created, I need to push that Docker image into Docker Hub account. Push image. I need to push that image into Docker Hub account. So in order to push the image into Docker Hub account, directly we cannot do. First, we need to log in into Docker Hub account. So how can we log in into Docker Hub account? So for that, we need to specify username and password. Configuring the password in the pipeline directly is not recommended. So we need to hide the credentials of our Docker Hub account to push our Docker image. For that, we are going for pipeline syntax. So here with the credentials option will be available. To generate that script with the credentials option. So bindings. So I want to bind it with the secret text variable name. You can give any variable name for that. So now I'm going to give that Docker password. So credentials, Docker account password, then add the credentials for that. Generate the pipeline script. So like this, Docker password will be generated. Docker account password we are going to give as a credential. Then it is going to generate a script like this. So this is the variable which contains our Docker password. So then we are going to take the variable Docker password, Docker login -u. So if you want to log in into the Docker Hub account, then Docker login -u username -p password. Password I don't want to configure directly. Password I want to take from the variable. So that's why $of variable, it will give me the password which is associated in that variable. So once the login is successful, then I am executing push command. It is used to push my image into Docker Hub account. Now in the pipeline, I'm writing this stage, which is used to push the image into Docker Hub account. So this is my CI job. Click on apply, click on save. So now let me go to Docker Hub account. let me verify. Really, is it pushing the image into Docker Hub account or not? I'm going to execute my CI job. Now here, my deployment, everything is deleted. The cluster, nothing is available now. Maven web app, if you observe in the Docker Hub, this Maven web app is deployed or is pushed yesterday. 1 day ago, this Maven web app image got pushed. Okay. Now let me run this job. Let me run this Java web application CI job. So CI job means Git to clone is available, Maven build is available, Docker image available, pushing the image available. So in this job, what is happening? First stage, stage 1 is Git to clone, and stage 2 is Maven build. I'm doing only build process in this. Stage 2, that is Maven build. Stage 1 is Git clone, stage 2 is Maven build, then stage 3 that is create Docker image. Stage 3, create Docker image. Then stage 4, push Docker image. Push Docker image to the Docker Hub. So as of now, I have taken 4 stages here. Fine, let me run this job and check it. Really, the image is creating or not. So let me check the Docker images here. Sudo Docker images. Sudo Docker images. Yes, there are so many images available. Let me delete everything. Docker system prune -a. Yes, I want to delete everything. Docker system prune -a. Right. So all the images, all the containers, unused images, stopped containers, everything is deleted. Let us check the Docker images command to see what all the Docker images available here. Currently, no Docker image is available. Okay. Image pushed into Docker Hub yesterday, not today. Now, let me run my job. Build now. I'm starting my CI job, guys. So my CI job is responsible to take the code from GitHub, do the Maven build, create the Docker image, and push that Docker image into Docker Hub account. Let us verify. So there are 4 stages available in my CI job. 4 stages available in my CI job. 4 stages available in my CI job. Pushing the image into Docker Hub account. Let's verify. Yes, this build got success. All the 4 stages got successful. Git clone is a success. Maven build is a success. Creating the image also success. Pushing the image into Docker Hub also success. Go to Docker Hub and see. Last pushed a day ago. Let's refresh and verify. Image is pushed into Docker Hub account or not. Few seconds ago, that image got pushed into Docker Hub account. Go here and check. Earlier when I execute Docker images, I did not get any output. Now let us execute this command and see. Just 55 seconds ago, Docker image got created. For our application, we are able to create the Docker image. Who has done this process, guys? This process done by CI job. This process done by CI job. So once the CI job is executed, our application build process got completed. Our Docker image got created. Docker image is available in the Docker Hub account. Now I need to go for CD job. In the CD job, I'm going to take 2 stages here. In the CD job, I'm going to take 2 stages. The stage 1, that is clone Git repo. That is Git clone. Sir, already we have taken the code now. Then why we need to take the code once again? So we need manifest YML. That manifest YML is available in the Git repository. Our project deployment manifest YML available in the Git repository. So I need to clone that Git repository, Git clone. Then stage 2, that is direct deployment. Okay. So I no need to create the image again because image creation already taken care by my CI job. Okay, fine. Let me create one more job now. Go here, dashboard. Let me create another job, Java web application CD job I have to create. CI job is already ready. Click on new item and let me enter as a CD job. Click on pipeline, click on OK. So in this pipeline, so this job is used to deploy our application in EKS cluster. This job is used to deploy our application in the EKS cluster. Go to pipeline. So go for hello world. Now, what is the first step? I need to clone. So let me go for git clone. So what are the steps we need to do for the git clone? Same process. So go for pipeline syntax. We are having a repository. In which repository your manifest YML is available. Most of the people will keep manifest YML within the project repository itself. Suppose if you are maintaining a separate repository for the manifest YMLs, that repository URL we can give. In some projects, they will keep manifest YML in the project repository. In some projects, they will keep manifest YML in a separate repository. So in which repository your manifest YML, that is deployment manifest YML, Kubernetes YML is available, you need to clone that repository because in order to do the deployment that is required. So stage 1, git clone. So once we got this stage, now we need to execute the another stage that is for deployment. Go for deploy. So how to do the deployment? In order to do the deployment, we need to execute kubectl command. So to execute the kubectl commands, what we have done yesterday, whatever the existing deployment is available with that name, I'm going to delete that and I'm going to do the latest deployment. Whatever existing deployment is available yesterday or any deployment available, I'm going to delete that deployment. Then I'm going to create the new deployment. So for that, let me go for stage deploy. In the deployment stage, what are the steps available? So the first step is delete the deployment, and the second step is create the deployment. So these are the stages that I'm writing. Only 2 stages available now. One is cloning the repository. Second one is doing the deployment. Click on apply and click on save. So there is a mistake here. Stages. One more manifest YML. Curly brace extra. It is missing. Okay, steps available here, stage available here, stages available here, pipeline is available here. Now apply and save. So with this, my deployment is also ready, guys. Now, so let me execute in the Kubernetes. Do we have any pods? kubectl get pods. Currently, pods are not available. Now let me run my CD job. Click on build now. CD job is available. Let me see the CD job. Is it going to deploy or not? It is failed. Go here and click on console output. I'm trying to run this. It failed. Maven deployment is not found. Okay, guys, the problem is first time we are executing pipeline with a delete the deployment. As it is not available, it is not able to delete that. So deployment is not available. So first time to delete. So that's why it is failing. Now you need to remove this. Directly we can go for kubectl apply -f maven web app deployment.yml. Click on apply. Click on save. Click on apply. Click on save. So or else we can go for kubectl delete deployment. Delete deployment. If I don't give this name, then what will happen? Let's verify. kubectl delete deployment all. Deployment all not found. It is giving the error. Okay, fine. So my deployment is not available, so I'm not able to delete that. Click on apply. Click on save. Fine. Good. Click on build now. I'm trying to deploy my application in the cluster. So currently no pods available in the cluster. Now my CD job is executed successfully. Once the CD job is executed, now we can see the pods which are available. kubectl get pods. 2 pods are in the running state. And we can see that kubectl get a service is also available. Service type we have given as a load balancer. By using this load balancer URL, we can access our application. Now, for example, I have modified my code in the GitHub repository. Development team has done the code modification in the GitHub repository. Okay, so latest code deployment we have to perform. Now, to do the latest code deployment, do we need to execute one job or we need to execute two jobs, guys? To do the latest application deployment, we need to execute one job or we need to execute two jobs now? We need to execute two jobs now because we have CI and CD separately. Let me try to access my application in the browser first. /maven/web/app. As the service type is a load balancer, by using this load balancer URL, I want to access this application. Load balancer getting created. So let's wait some time to access this application in the browser. I have done my deployment successfully. So go to here, you can check it. Build number 2, go for console output. In the console output, what happened? It has done Kubernetes deployment. So deployment created and service got created. I have executed kubectl apply deployment.yml file. With this deployment got created. So we can see the pods are running. Pods are in the running status and the service is also available. Service load balancer URL is available. Let me try to access our application with that load balancer URL. Yes, we are able to access. Welcome to Ashok IT Software Training Institute at Hyderabad. So this is my response. My application is giving the response. Now I want to deploy the latest code. Now I am going to modify some code here. Go to this application, index.jsp is available. Let me modify this. Welcome to Ashok IT. That's it. I'm removing this software training Hyderabad and all that stuff. So I have modified my code. So when I modify my code, I want to do the latest deployment. Now guys, in order to deploy the latest code, do we have one job or we are having two jobs? My code is modified. If code is modified, then what I have to do? Come on guys. If code is modified, then what I have to do? So this is my CI job. If code is modified, then what I have to do? This is my CI job. And this is my CD job. In my CI job, there are 4 stages available. In the CD job, there are 2 stages available. In the CI job, there are 4 stages available. In the CD job, there are only 2 stages available. Now, I want to deploy latest code. So in order to deploy latest code, then what you need to do? Can I run the CD job directly or I have to run the CI job? Come on, guys. If I want to deploy the latest code, I can run only CD job or I have to run the CI job first. In order to deploy the latest code, can I run only CI job, CD job, or I have to run only CD job, or I have to run CI then CD? I have to run the CI job first, then we need to go for CD job. I have to run the CI job first, then I need to go for CD job. Okay, good. Now here guys, in the CD job, Kubernetes deployment is happening. If I want to deploy the latest code, I need to delete the existing deployment. Okay, so in order to delete the existing deployment, I'm going to configure this command now. So deployment is already available. So if I want to do the latest deployment, existing deployment should be deleted, then latest deployment should be created. Click on apply, click on save. Guys, here I have a question. Do you want to run CI job first then do you run CD job? Then manually do you want to run it? Or once the CI job is executed, automatically CD job should be triggered? What we need to do? Are we going to run these things manually, or we want to run them automatically? Can we trigger one job from the another job? If a CI job is executed successfully, then I want to trigger CD job. If a CI job is executed successfully, then I want to trigger CD job. Okay. So how to trigger one job from the another job? Let us see here. Go to CI job. Java web application CI job is available. Go to configure. Go to configure. Go to pipeline. Go to pipeline. I'm going to write one more stage here. Another stage I'm going to write in the CI job, that is trigger CD. Trigger CD. Inside the steps, what we need to do? Go for pipeline syntax. Go for pipeline syntax. Let us select here, build another job. Okay. Here, after image got pushed into the Docker Hub, push Docker image. After pushing the Docker image, I will write one more stage here, that is called stage 5. So what is that stage 5? The stage 5 is trigger CD job. Stage 5 is a trigger CD job. So CI job is available. CI job will execute all the 5 stages. After all the 5 stages got completed successfully, I want to trigger CD job. Once all the 5 stages got completed successfully, then I want to trigger CD job. So why it has to trigger the CD job? CI job is only responsible to perform the cloning, git clone, take the code, then do the Maven build, then create the Docker image, then push the Docker image into the Docker Hub, then trigger the CD job. Then what is the responsibility of the CD job? CD job is responsible to take the repository, because manifest YML is available in the repository, then deploy that by using Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so CI job will execute. Once the CI job is executed, it is going to trigger CD job. CI job is going to execute. CI job is going to trigger this is CD job. That is continuous integration and a continuous deployment. Continuous integration and continuous deployment. It is going to trigger CD job. I want to configure that. So I will execute only CI job. Once the CI job is executed successfully, it should trigger the CD job. So go here in the Jenkins, how to trigger one job from the another job. This is very famous interview question, guys. How to trigger one job from the another job. So to trigger one job from the another job, I'm writing one stage. Go to pipeline syntax. In the pipeline syntax step, sample step, I want script to trigger one job from the another job. So for this, build a job, project to build. Which build you need to trigger? The job that I need to trigger, that is Java web application CD job. So now Java web application CD job, wait until build starts and propagate errors. Now click on generate pipeline script. So now I need to write build Java web app CD job. This is the script that I'm going to use. Copy this script and keep this script in the step. That's it. So here I'm writing one extra stage, guys. In that stage, I'm writing trigger CD job. So what is the meaning of that? Once your CI process is completed, then you build a CD job. So how to build a CD job? Build job name. That's it. Click on apply, click on save. Click on apply, click on save. Now guys, observe here. My CI job is executed only one time. So earlier, there are only 4 stages available in the CI job. Now let's go to our CD job. In the CD job, 2 times I have executed. First time it got failed and the second time it got success. So in my application, currently the message is coming. Welcome to Ashok IT Software Training Institute at Hyderabad. Now I changed that message to display only welcome to Ashok IT. Okay, now my CI is available and my CD is also available. I will run only CI job. Let's verify the behavior of that. So 6 minutes ago, Docker image got pushed into Docker Hub. Now go to CI job, Java Web Application CI job. Then let's click on build now. I'm running only CI job, guys. Verify the behavior. I'm running only CI job. Verify the behavior. Docker push is happening. Once the Docker push is completed, now you can check it. Trigger CD job is also happening. That is the last stage. Trigger the CD job. Yes, triggering the CD job completed. Now go to CD. Last time, 2 times I have executed already. Third stage is happening or not. Go to CD job. Go to CD job. In the CD job, can you see third time executed automatically? So did we trigger CD or CD triggered from CI? Guys, did I trigger the CD job or CD job triggered from CI job? Come on, guys. Are we triggering the CD or CD is triggering by CI? Come on, guys, please respond. Are we triggering CD or CD is triggering by CI? CD is triggering from CI. Okay, now let's verify our latest code is deployed in the cluster or not. Refresh. Are we able to see the latest code is deployed in the cluster? Are we able to see the latest code is deployed in the cluster? Latest code is deployed in the cluster. Can we see continuous integration, continuous deployment, automation? Yes. Now go here and go to CI job. In the CI job, go to configure option. CI, go to configure option. Advanced pipelines. Okay. General. Discard old builds. Don't allow concurrent builds. Do not allow concurrent builds. Okay. Pipeline speed. This project is parameterized. You can parameterize this project. If you want to pass some parameters, you can use them. Build the triggers. Build periodically. Build using poll SCM. I'm going for poll SCM. 5 stars I am giving. So what is the meaning of 5 stars? Every 1 minute, it is going to check. Every 1 minute, it is going to check. Is there any commit in the Git repository? Click on apply, click on save. Click on apply, click on save. Now, let me go and check it. CI job is executed 2 times. CD job is executed 3rd times. First time it failed. So 3rd build number is available for CD. And 2nd build number is available for CI. I configured poll SCM. Now let me go to GitHub and let me modify my project code. Welcome to Ashok IT software training. Just I'm adding one message. I want to show you when I commit the code, automatically CI will trigger. Once CI is a success, CD will trigger. Now commit this code, commit the change. I have done the code commit. Now go and verify the behavior of the CI. I'm not doing anything, guys. I'm leaving my mouse and let's verify what is going to happen. I configured pipeline with the poll SCM. I configured pipeline with poll SCM and I have made some code changes in the GitHub repository. Let us see automatically is it going to trigger CI or not. If CI is triggered, then once the CI is a success, CI will trigger CD. CD will take the manifest YML from the Git and it will deploy that in the Kubernetes cluster. So complete automation. Let's wait. I'm waiting for CI. Yes, CI is triggered, guys. Let us see that. CI is triggered. CI job is running now. Once the CI job is running, it will clone, build, image, push, trigger CD. In the CD, as of now, only 3rd build happened. Last build number is 3. Now, Docker push is happening. Then it will go for trigger CD job. Then it will go for trigger CD job. So once you trigger the CD job, now you see fourth build number automatically started, taking the code and deploy. So it deployed the latest code. So automatically CI is executed. CI triggered CD. Once the CD completed successfully, then it is giving success status. Go to this project, refresh. We are able to get the latest code. So are we able to do the complete automation by using CI CD? So CI job will be triggered, then CI is going to trigger CD job. So in real time, this is called as upstream job, downstream job, or we can call it as multiple jobs to achieve CI and CD. Instead of writing all the stages in one job, in some projects, people will write two jobs. Why? Because if we write everything in one job, it will become complex to maintain. So in future, Nexus repository will be available and SonarQube will be available to perform the code review. If I add all the stages in one job, it will become difficult to maintain. So that's why. So CI process will happen in one job, CD process will happen in another job. So once the CI job is completed successfully, then it is going to trigger CD job. CI means continuous integration. CD means continuous deployment. Got it? Are you guys clear? Now you got the clarity how to trigger one job from the another job. So in order to trigger one job from the another job, the concept is very simple. Just we need to write one stage. In the CI job, there is a stage. In that stage, I have given build job name. So this is the name of my CD job. So I'm giving build this job. So once all the stages are completed in the CI, then it is executing trigger CD job. It is calling build CD. So then CD job is going to execute. CI plus CD in two different jobs. Are you guys able to understand? Are you guys able to understand this? Perfect. Now, in future, we will add one more stage also here. Once the deployment is completed, I will write email notification. Once the deployment is completed successfully, I want to send an email to the team, application deployment completed successfully. Email notification, we can add as one more stage. So in the deployment CD job, I will write one more stage saying that deployment completed, email notification we can add. Email notification means once the deployment is completed, Jenkins should trigger email to our team saying that deployment is success. Got it? Fine, guys. Now we are able to deploy Java application. We are able to deploy Java application in the Kubernetes cluster. Suppose if I want to deploy Python application, what changes will be available? If I want to deploy Python application, what changes will be available? Come on. If I want to deploy Python application, what changes will be available? Here Maven build is available, right? For Python, Maven build is not required. That is the only change. Python is a scripting language. So the files will be available with the .py extension. No need of any compilation for the Python. So directly we are going to execute Python application. We can deploy Python application also by using Jenkins. So we need to take one Python project. For that Python project, we need to create a Docker image. We need to push the Docker image into Docker Hub account. Then we need to deploy that Docker image by using Kubernetes cluster. So that's it. Now, so before going to work on that Python application, I want to work on one full stack application. Full stack application deployment I want to do by using Kubernetes. Full stack application deployment I want to do. One project I want to deploy. So in this project, what I need is here, I will take the backend application as a springboard. My backend application is a springboard. Okay. Backend application is a springboard. It is one project, backend project, springboard application. Now, front-end application will be Angular. My front-end application is Angular application. My front-end application is Angular application. Both are two different projects. So it is available in one Git repository. This is available in another Git repository. Spring Boot application. This is my backend. This is my backend. Okay. And this is my front end. Backend application and front end application. In the real time, the requirement will be like this. So backend applications will be available. Front end applications will be available. Now I want to do the deployment of this project. This project is full stack project. Full stack project, nothing but backend will be available separate. Front end will be available separate. So first I need to deploy my backend application. Once backend application deployment is completed, backend application URL I need to configure in the front end application. Then I need to deploy my front end application also. Once this front end application deployment is successful, I should be able to access my front end application. When I access my front end application should be able to communicate with the backend application. Front end application should be able to communicate with the backend application. Okay. End user will communicate with the front end application. That front end application should communicate with the backend application. Now I want to deploy this project by using Jenkins. Now I need to deploy this project by using Jenkins. Now tell me how many jobs are required? How many Docker images will be available and how many jobs are required? How many Docker images will be available and how many jobs are required? Come on, guys. How many Docker images will be available? How many Docker images will be available? 2 Docker images will be available. Spring Boot application will have 1 Docker image. Angular application will have 1 Docker image. Spring Boot application will have 1 Docker image. Angular application will have another Docker image. So to deploy the backend, then what I need to do here I will take backend CI job, then backend CD job. Right. Backend CI job will be available. Backend CD job will be available. Then what about front end? Front end CI job will be available. Then front end CD job will be available. Backend CI job will be available. Backend CD job will be available. Front end CI job will be available. Front end CD job will be available. So so total how many jobs that I need to take? Total how many jobs that I need to take? Total 4 jobs I need to take. Total 4 jobs I need to take. Okay. Suppose now in this application, if I am going to use the database, if I use database in this application, then what will happen? Forget about that. I'm not going to take the database now. I will take Spring Boot application backend and I will take Angular frontend. I want to deploy backend application and front-end application. So for the backend application, I need to create 1 Docker image. Then I need to deploy that Docker image on the cluster. For front-end application, I will create 1 Docker image and I will deploy that in the cluster. Okay. Are you clear with this? So we need to work on this project in the tomorrow session. We need to work on this project in the tomorrow session. How to set up full stack application. How to set up full stack application. Okay. So you got the clarity. What is the CI and what is the CD? You got the clarity what is CI and what is CD? How we are going to maintain two different jobs for CI and CD. Right. Okay, good. So this one, I want you to practice. I want you to experiment this task today. I want you to experiment this task today. Can you guys try this? I will give you Git repository for backend application and front-end application, because developers will write the code. They will give the code in the Git repository. I will give my Git repository URLs for this process, guys. Okay. I will give my Git repository URLs for this process. I want you people to try this before coming to tomorrow's session. I want you people to try this before coming to tomorrow's session. Okay, that is full stack deployment. Full stack application deployment. Full stack application deployment. Good. So in the full stack application, backend app, Spring Boot, backend application, backend Spring Boot application, backend Spring Boot application, then front-end Angular application, backend Spring Boot application and front-end Angular application. Okay, so let me give the Git repository URLs for them. They are already available in my GitHub account. The projects are already available in my GitHub account. Repository, the application name I have given as contact UI, contact UI, contact backend application will be available, contact backend application and contact UI application. Okay, contact backend application is available. Copy this backend application URL. This is backend application GitHub repository URL, and this is front-end application GitHub repository URL. You just need to set up the jobs, guys, because if you observe in this backend application, I have already given Docker file and I have given deployment.yml. In the front-end application also, Docker file is available and deployment.yml file also will be available. Front-end application deployment and backend application deployment will be available. Contact UI. So this is UI application, and here we are having backend application. So I'm giving the GitHub repositories for this. I want you people to experiment on this backend project and front-end project, full stack application deployment. So once we are able to do this deployment, then we are good with Jenkins, Dockers, and Kubernetes. So now when I'm explaining this, we need to include one more stage, that is how to send email once the job is executed successfully. Email notifications we need to configure once our job is executed successfully, or if it is failed, or if it is success, or if it is failed. I want to send email to the team saying that job failed or job success. I need to do that operation. Got it? Yeah, somebody asking database. If you want the database, you can configure that database also for this application. MySQL database we can configure, and we can deploy MySQL database in the cluster. My Spring Boot application will communicate with that MySQL database. This will become end-to-end project for the DevOps. Deploying the database, deploying the backend application, and deploying the front-end application. So this will become end-to-end deployment. So in order to do this, then we need to create one DB deployment. We need to create one DB deployment. Okay, guys. DB deployment we have to perform. So instead of doing this DB deployment on the Kubernetes cluster, I'm going to create the database in the AWS cloud. So most of the people, 99% of the projects are going to use cloud database. When we are going for cloud database, then you no need to deploy the database in the Kubernetes. So the database will be created in cloud. So in order to create the database in the cloud through Jenkins, we need to automate that by using Terraform. So as of now, we don't know the Terraform. So once AWS classes started, then you will understand the Terraform. At that time, you will understand how to create a database by using Terraform. That a Terraform I will trigger by using Jenkins. Okay, that complete project setup will be there for the DevOps people. So once the Terraform is completed, then I will show you how to automate that database creation also by using Terraform. Come on, guys. So for the DevOps people, the complete end-to-end project is required, including the database. For the database, mostly people are not going to create the database in the Kubernetes cluster, right? Because database should be very secured and database should be very robust, right? For that, we are going to use that in the cloud. In the AWS, there is a service called RDS service, which is used to create the database. So if you go to AWS, there is a service called RDS. Manage Relational Database. So we need to create the database in the cloud. So in order to create the database in the cloud, we are going to use Terraform to automate the resources creation in the AWS. So by using Terraform, we will automate that. Whatever the Terraform script is available, that Terraform script we are going to execute. The Terraform script will be executed by Jenkins. That end-to-end setup will be done at the end of the DevOps as part of our project setup. So we are going to do the end-to-end project setup in the DevOps, right? So once DevOps, now we are almost done with the DevOps. So Jenkins is the last tool for us. Then next we will go for AWS. So first we need to understand what is RDS, how to work with RDS. Then how to automate that by using Terraform. How to include the Terraform in our Jenkins pipeline. That we will see as part of end-to-end project. Terraform and Ansible is required. So that you will get full clarity on DevOps projects. Good. So for now, I'm going to set up backend application and front-end application. This backend application will be on the Spring Boot. Front-end application will be on the Angular. Okay, guys. You got the clarity? What we need to do? Now, guys, here in this Spring Boot application, I have given the Docker file, but you should be able to write the Docker file for this backend application. In the Angular also, for the front-end application also, I have given the Docker file. You should be able to write the Docker file. Kubernetes deployment manifest file I have given, but you should be able to write that. So here one Docker file is required, one deployment file is required. Here one Docker file is required, one deployment file is required. By using Docker file, we will create the Docker image and we will deploy that in the Kubernetes cluster. Here by using Docker file, we'll create the Docker image. We'll deploy that in the Kubernetes cluster. Got it? So I want you people to work on this full stack application. So at least try that before coming to tomorrow's session. Yeah. Any questions anyone having?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
So I have two questions actually. So that first question actually, what is the mainframe for this one actually?
Mainframe. Why mainframe comes here?
You know that you are using actually Angular. Angular is that mainframe is correct?
No. Angular, that is a front-end technology to develop UI applications.
Okay, what UI and UX actually, what is it? Both are different or the same?
UI means user interface, UX means user experience. So both will be used in the front-end development.
Front-end, okay. So Spring Boot microservices.
Spring Boot is a Java technology that is used to develop Java-based applications. That is a framework in the Java, basically.
Okay. So my question is, so when you are actually a developer develop that one set of developer, their own teams, they create actually Java in the application in the front end. That's that a second team to create actually backend application, and also the database also that are created one by another team. So our work is actually that DevOps team actually they have to do actually the combine everything from that GitHub. From the GitHub, how to run that application into the CI/CD pipeline. Then actually in that deploy in that into that Docker hub, and also into that into the Kubernetes cluster. Is correct?
Correct.
Can you tell me that actually how does it is it I'm explaining is the correct way or is the wrong way actually?
Correct. That's correct, sir. That's correct. So developers will give the code in the repositories. As a DevOps engineers, we are responsible to build that code, and we need to create the images. We need to push the images to the Docker hub. Then we need to deploy our applications to the cluster. That is our responsibility.
Okay. So this actually run in the multiple environment or the multiple is the correct in multiple environment?
Yes, sir. We will come to that. So we are not coming to the conclusion, right? Once this application deployment is completed, then I will tell real-time terminology.
Okay.
Ashok, a question from my side.
By this weekend, our most probably by this Saturday, we'll complete our Jenkins.
Okay. Ashok, one question. Like, suppose we have two environments like dev and QA. So do we need to create a Jenkins jobs for dev?
Yes, sir. Generally, for environment, they will create the separate jobs.
Okay.
Dev job, QA job will be available like that.
So it means there are two jobs we have to create for dev and for another job for our QA, correct?
Correct.
And for segregation of the properties file for dev and QA. So do we need to add a separate, create a separate Git repository for each?
Generally, for the properties, people will use separate Git repository. That is, they will maintain separate properties for that.
So it means like the code should be, we have to create a image. So that should be same for all the environment.
Yes,
but the
image is same for all, but properties will come dynamically. We discussed config map secrets, right?
Yeah.
They will pass from there.
So we have to provide a separate Git URL for each environment, correct?
Correct.
All right. And one more thing, Ansible. Do we need have we covered Ansible or we have to cover it?
No. That will cover along with the AWS. Ansible Terraform will be coming in the AWS.
Okay.
So actually, what the Ansible will do is, so whatever the deployment that we are doing here, so in this, what I'm doing is I'm installing Docker, Kubernetes, kubectl in the Jenkins machine. I'm running directly from the Jenkins machine. But in some projects, what they will do is, Jenkins is already a heavyweight machine. We should not install Docker on the Jenkins. We should not install kubectl on the Jenkins. By using Ansible, they will copy the YML files from the Jenkins machine to the another machine. They will do the deployment on the another machine. To copy the files from one machine to another machine, to install particular configurations on the machines, people will go for Ansible. So that you will cover in the Ansible. That is what for the DevOps people end-to-end project we are going to set up once AWS, Terraform, Ansible is completed. Then you will get more clarity.
Okay, so Ansible is for the complete package and everything. You should be used by you the Ansible, right?
Yes, we can use that. Some people will use that. I mean, DevOps practices. So every project, every company will not follow the same process.
Actually, in my company, I heard this Ansible, but I couldn't understand what is the use of that.
Ansible is a configuration management software, so it's a lengthy topic. It will take 1 week to understand.
Understood. Actually, they're using it, but I couldn't understand what they're using.
I will cover that. So once the AWS services are completed, then I will go for Ansible and Terraform.
Okay, so it now for each environment we have to create separate Git repository, because I try to replicate that environment, right, like a dev and QA. So since I were using the same property file, so I could not understand like how can I change this QA and dev, because everything has their own properties file, right? QA has own and dev has own property files. So definitely,
in the Spring Boot application, there will be a concept called profile. Based on the profile, it will pick up which environment we are deploying. That environment property file it is going to deploy. All the environment properties will be in the single repository, but it will pick up dynamically based on the profile name.
Understood. The profiling file, suppose Docker Compose I'm using, suppose, but Compose file is single file, right?
Yeah.
So how do we understand? So how do we understand like which Compose? How to mention over there, like this is QA or this is a dev? In
in
Compose.
the Docker Compose.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you are using Kubernetes, why to go for Docker Compose? It's not required, right?
No, not that's required. Yeah.
Not required, because if you are using Kubernetes, if you have the Docker image, that is sufficient. So Docker Compose is like managing the containers. Here we are managing the containers by using Kubernetes, not by Docker Compose. We are using just Docker. We are building the image. That image we are deploying on the cluster. There is no Docker Compose here.
Okay.
When you are having a Docker Compose, your image will be available. So in that image, that means when you are a Docker Compose, right, you need to package everything in the application. Property should be there in the application.
Mm-hmm.
That will become a hard-coded one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Ashok. I have one last question. Like, are you going to teach us at least one example using Bitbucket and artifacts? Right. In my project, we are using Bitbucket, where we generate artifacts.
Sir,
and
Bitbucket,
deploy.
GitHub, there is no difference at all. So if you want, I can keep my project in the Bitbucket and I can pull from that. There is no issue. So as a DevOps engineer, you no need to make any changes to the job. The only thing is your URL is going to change. Here I'm using GitHub repository URL, right? Instead of this, you will give Bitbucket repository URL. That's it.
All
no
commands and everything will remain same,
100%
right?
everything is same.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Already I explained Bitbucket commands in the DevOps people, in the DevOps, when I explained GitHub, I have shown them how to work with Bitbucket also. 100% same commands, nothing change.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yep. Perfect, guys. Good. So please try to do this setup of full stack application. If you do CI/CD in the single job, that is also fine for me. You don't need to create two separate jobs for both. So now I want you to create one job for backend job, backend application job. CI/CD completely you can keep in one job. So whenever I run that job, my backend application should be deployed in the cluster. Then I should go for my front-end application job. So when I go for my front-end application job, front-end application should be able to communicate with the backend application. So I have given the Git repository URLs for both. I want you people to try this before coming to tomorrow. Tomorrow I will explain this.
Hello, sir. I have one more question. So what is a SRE?
Sir, that is software requirement specification. Project functionality document will be given. That is requirement specification document. So what developers has to develop will be mentioned in that document.
Okay. So in the real-time scenario, actually, this is a BRD document given to that each developer.
That is not for, that will be given for the developers, sir, not for the DevOps people. So that is basically contains requirements, what we need to develop.
Testers also, they will get that business BRD
developers
document.
and testers, they will give that.
Okay. In addition, actually, that's how many machines we want to run, and how many which environment, which location we have to run. These are the things actually. This document will they prepare by that business analyst or they?
Yeah, no. That how many environments we need to maintain, how many servers we need to maintain. That will be given by architect.
Okay. Yeah. So that's in a real-time scenario will they give an answer?
Yes,
right. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So in case actually if any error comes actually, how will roll back, or we can once we are start from the scratch actually, how do we actually resolve the issues?
So whenever we get the issue, so first developers, we have already done that EFK stack setup, right? So they will check the logs, where is the issue. So based on that, developers will troubleshoot it and they will update the latest code. Then we need to do the redeployment.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, I have an issue in yesterday class. So could you help me right now or tomorrow?
Tomorrow, sir. I have time now, another class at 9:30. Tomorrow we'll see that.
Okay.
Sir, actually, I'm also having one problem. While I'm starting the Sonar server, it is showing like it is started, but after that, when I check status, it is showing not running. So how to troubleshoot, sir?
We'll check that issue. We'll check that. This tomorrow or Saturday, we'll check it.
Okay.
Sir, one day we'll take the only resolve the issue, sir.
Sure. This Saturday. So tomorrow, if I complete this full stack project, then Saturday I will take only for the doubts.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. So we'll see you tomorrow.